Good morning and happy Saturday. Kiki wants to apparently be a part of this one. Hi, Kiki. Say good morning and happy Saturday to everyone. Happy Saturday. All right. So looks like this is going to be the new standard for these morning meditations for a bit until people get back in the habit of waking up, and I am totally okay with that. So yesterday we were discussing the Course in Miracles lesson number 5. Lesson number 5 is I am never upset for the reason I think. And we brought that into a meditative practice. We tied it in to the previous 4 days of practice of looking around at our environment and acknowledging that we have applied meaning to everything that we see, everything that we touch, everything that we live in, and that there is the possibility that we actually do not understand what we see, that we have given an understanding to ourselves. And then that we also do the same thing with our thoughts, with our memories, with our perceptions. Interesting concept. And so now it's grown into this idea of all of these little upsets that occur in our mind, the disappointments, the angers, the jealousies, I guess you could call them the negative aspects of our thought processes. But I took it a little step further and I said also the positive upset. So when I use the word upset, I'm not just talking about things that bring you down. I'm talking about things that drastically shift the rhythms of your thoughts to come out of this equanimity of being balanced and being peaceful and just kind of observing with acceptance. And also, so not just all of the anger, the jealousy, and all those things, but also into the stuff that gets you really excited, the desires, the things that you really want, the things that you want more of, the really happy, joyous, the things that take you really, really high up. And acknowledging something that the Course teaches us, which is that there are no small upsets. They are all equally disturbing to my peace of mind. It's interesting. There's no small upsets. So there's no small little thing that is bothering me. The things that we ignore, like, oh, I can ignore that. It's not that important. I can ignore this desire. It's not that important. I can ignore this thing that's making me excited. It's not that important. It's not bothering my peace that much. It's not disturbing my understanding of what is really happening that much. And what we're doing in this process, what we're doing in this practice is saying, no, I'm going to acknowledge all of it. And I'm going to acknowledge that I am not upset. I am not disturbed. I am not having this desire for the reasons that I think I do. We're not giving you any answers of what that reason actually really is, but we're just saying that perhaps our vision and our perception of our personality, of our likes, our dislikes, our passions, coming back to the very, very beginning of this week where we shifted from first chakra awareness of our vitality, our ability to survive, our ability to thrive, our ability to depend on a community, our ability to be rooted within ourselves, into that emotional need space of the second chakra of our likes, our dislikes, our passions, the things that drive us, those desires that make us feel like we're thriving. And we moved from that into saying, okay, so there's all of these little likes and dislikes occurring in my mind at all the times. All of these little analysis of this is good, this is bad, I like this, I don't like that. This is going to result in one thing, this is going to result in another thing. There's consequences to every single thought that I have. That's what these lessons 5 and 6 is telling us, is that there are no upsets that need to be looked over. There are no disturbances in our mind that are more important or less important than another one as far as how they shift and alter our perception of ourselves, our perception of our reality, and our perception of what other people think of us. And so then today's lesson. I am upset because I see something that is not there. I am upset because I see something that is not there. So this is very interesting for me. Speaking from a personal level, I'm actually in the course. I am on lesson 359. I've gone through the course twice. I've gone through the first half of the course probably 3 or 4 times as I've been teaching it and bringing it to different students. Kiki, stop licking the cream off my legs. I have CBD cream on my legs and Kiki's enjoying it. I don't think that's healthy for you. Distracting as well. And my lesson for today was good. It was more about like having our prayers answered and what it looks like when the prayers are answered. And the, I guess, event or the upset that I experienced this morning did not feel like an answer to my prayer, to my desire. And so I did my meditation, and when I finished with my meditation, checked my messages, and the message that I received from someone I was expecting a message from was one that triggered some disillusionment. I won't call it disappointment. I'm not disappointed, but what I was expecting, what I relied upon as an external event that I thought was going to make my morning so much better wasn't happening anymore. And rather than sitting around and being upset and getting annoyed and letting it ruin my morning, I was like, okay, well, this gives me more time to prepare for the morning meditation Course in Miracles study. Awesome. So I open it up, and I'd totally forgotten where we were at yesterday. And it was so perfect for me. I am upset because I see something that is not there. And I realized, you know what? I am upset. I'm not upset to the point that like my morning's ruined or the relationship, the friendship I have with this person is ruined, but there's something that needed to be communicated. And my upset was because I felt like I could not communicate what I needed to say without ruining something. I was seeing something that wasn't there. I was seeing a future of, I'm going to tell them how I really feel, and then it's just going to screw everything up, and it's going to disrupt the course of the next few interactions with this person. I was upset because of fear. So every single time that we encounter these upsets, these ups or downs, this desire or resistance, we have a choice. We have a choice to make of how we're going to react, and we can react by either coming from a place of love, unconditional love, which means unconditional love for no matter how this is going to turn out, unconditional love for ourselves and how we feel and understanding of it, or fear, which leads us to try to manipulate to get the consequence, to get the result that we want. Okay, Kiki, you're very distracting. I love you. You're so cute, but you're in heat and you need too much attention right now. So give me 20 minutes. So I chose to communicate it in a loving way, that the blame was not on anyone else, on no one at all, but that this was a feeling that needed to be expressed so that I wouldn't shut down. And I felt good about it. I felt comfortable with it. So then I read more into this practice, and I did the practice again. I'd already done my Course in Miracles, lesson 3, whatever it was, 49 this morning, but I was like, you know what, I know that I will learn this deeper and be able to teach it more if I actually sit down and practice it. All of this teaching is allowing me to understand it more because it's being reflected in the experiences that I'm having. And so this is the practice that we're going to do today. We're going to get into this mindfulness meditation where we get ourselves comfortable with just acknowledging that there are thoughts happening, acknowledging that these thoughts are going to happen spontaneously no matter how much we try to control them. We're going to acknowledge that perhaps we don't really understand the reason for the thought, and we don't really understand the consequence of the thought. B. C. We're going to acknowledge that perhaps this thought that is upsetting our sense of peace, that's upsetting our equanimous, our ability to have an equanimous, undisturbed, unconditional, loving awareness type of mind, that perhaps we're seeing something that isn't there. For example, I wear contacts, and I didn't have contacts for a good 3 or 4 weeks of this quarantine because I didn't realize that I still had my prescription, et cetera, et cetera. Long story short, I spent most of this quarantine with only one contact in. And when I was looking around at my environment, just my day-to-day practices, I found myself seeing reality blurry, which I would see a shape and I would immediately assume I knew what that shape was. I knew what the event was that was happening around me. I knew what the words were on a wall. I was doing a lot of assuming based off of perception with the tools that I had and the best thing that I could do. Given most of the time, I was relatively correct. However, I finally ordered my contacts. I put the contacts in, and once I had clear vision and was actually able to see things clearly, which that's a later lesson in Course in Miracles, but remember, when I was able to see my reality clearly, I acknowledged, A, my apartment's not nearly as messy as I thought it was. B, that there are things in my surroundings that I can adjust to make things more comfortably. All I needed to do was clear my perception and acknowledge that there needed to be a correction in my vision, rather than just going, I can do this for the next, however many more days, weeks, or months we're in this. I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and go ahead and buy the contacts. And I was seeing something that wasn't there, and I was getting myself upset over thinking that my apartment was really, really messy. I was getting myself upset thinking that there's a writing on one of my planners that I kept on looking at rather than getting up close enough to see it that needed to be done. I was seeing something that wasn't there, and as soon as I corrected my vision, which that's what this course is about, it's correcting our perception to go from fear-based manipulation that we're doing to ourselves, that we're attempting to do to reality, to shifting into love-based awareness of accepting things as they are and accepting that perhaps our very human mind needs to be reconditioned to see things more clearly, and that perhaps we don't need to see the long-term outcome of time in order to experience forgiveness of these thoughts, forgiveness of these disturbances, and forgiveness of the pain that we feel has been inflicted by us or to us. So we're going to do this practice. And then at the end of the practice, we're going to bring back in some of the lessons from yesterday of there are no small upsets. They are all equally disturbing to my peace of mind. And I cannot keep this form of upset and let the others go. For the purpose of these exercises, then I will regard them all as the same. So, meditation. Let's begin. Get my biggest, most comfortable pillow to sit on. I recommend you do the same, sitting on the edge of a chair even. And just sit up tall. Not to sit up straight and exaggerated, but sit up tall, comfortably tall. As though you're proud of where you sit. Let the shoulders be relaxed. Let me close a button here. Now, before you close your eyes, take a look at your body. The clothing, the place that you sit, and just in your immediate surroundings, your arm length surroundings. Take a look at it, and as you're looking, I'm going to ask you to change one thing. And that one thing, before you change anything, that one thing that you're going to change is you're going to change the expression on your face. And you're going to change it to be the hint of a smile. So rather than having a stone-faced or a tired face, or as in stone cold face, not like stone face. We can't help that if we are, right? Relax the expression across your forehead. Soften your jaw. And then allow the corners of your mouth to turn to the hint of a smile. What this does is helps us to soften the emotional response that we have to not only our surroundings, but also to our perception of ourselves. Softening the response does not eliminate the patterns that are there. It helps us to remain in a state of observation rather than being drawn into the energy of the thought patterns and just get caught up in the thinking mind and engaging in it and forgetting everything that we just observed. All right, so your reminder for this practice, this is a smiling practice, not like a cheese smile, but a softening the corners of your mouth to reduce the amount of emotional disturbance so that we're just observing the different upsets in the flow of thoughts, okay? Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, let the eyes gently close. The corners of the mouth turn to the hint of a smile. With your eyes closed, envision the room that is around you. With the corners of the mouth still turned to the hint of a smile, as you visualize the room around you and remember the different items, you may begin to notice that as your perception falls on certain memories of items you have in the room, that the hint of a smile does not feel coherent with how you actually feel about that item. What that will allow you to do is observe little things around you that are perhaps upsetting your peace of mind. For example, I'm aware that there is a pile of dishes that need to be done. The hint of a smile I have right now does not feel coherent with knowing I need to wash those dishes. So that's a little upset. So for a couple of moments, keep that hint of a smile, and when you notice that it wants to slip away or it has slipped away, take note that would be considered an upset. Or if your memory or awareness falls on something that creates an expression that's greater than a hint of a smile, like wants to trigger a real smile, still just keep the hint of a smile, and then you'll notice the things that are exaggerating the joy. These external environment factors that are influencing your internal peace of mind. And bring your attention back to the perception of the body. First, remembering how it looked as you were sitting, keeping that hint of a smile. And then into the sensations you're experiencing within the body. Funny enough, what our mind tends to drift to first are the discomforts in the body, right? I'm going to challenge you not to attempt to change your posture to get rid of that discomfort. Maintain it just for a little bit. But don't hold on to the awareness of those discomforts. Observe it and then continue to scan through your body's experiences. Without trying to find positive experiences, without trying to find enjoyable, pleasant experiences, allow the attention to gravitate to where it naturally, spontaneously wants to. Just remaining with that slightest upturn of the corners of the mouth and the softening of the expression around the eyes. You'll notice when that change is due to the different experiences you become aware of. Now let's take our gaze to the back of the eyelids. And begin to look into this space behind the eyelids. If you need to soften the corners of the mouth for a moment because you're not used to smiling so much, smiling that much can start to cramp up, can't it? It's fine. In fact, I encourage it to allow the free flow of thoughts, whether they are pleasant or unpleasant, to allow those gates to open up. And as you're looking into the back of the eyelids, give yourself permission, give your mind, your brain, permission to express anything it needs to express. Emotions, memories, analysis. Open it up. Allow yourself to think. And as different thoughts begin to arise, or even arrive, we'll begin that practice of turning the corners of the mouth to the hint of a smile of contentment. And anytime there's a thought or thought pattern or a full sequence of thought, a full script that makes you realize that that expression on your face has changed, that is when we can begin the Course in Miracles practice of Lesson 6 I am upset about whatever the thought is because I see something that is not there. Without trying to define what it is that you see, just acknowledging. I am angry, I am annoyed, I am excited, I am hopeful because I see something that is not there. Accepting any and all thought as a part of the body experience rather than as a part of the self experience, as a part of the identity experience. Accepting those thoughts as part of the experience, however, rather than engaging in the story that the thought wants to tell you about what the thought means, what the emotion means, what it means for your future, what it means for your past, or what it means for your present moment, by stating, I am upset, or whatever the feeling is that is coinciding with this thought, that's causing the change of expression on your face. It's because I see something that is not there. And we're using this expression on the face, A, as a physical experience to keep our attention within the present moment, the moment of the body. B, using the hint of a smile, the same way we use a mantra to help keep us anchored away from the reactions that thoughts inspire within the body and mind and emotions. And C, as a way for us to have a physical trigger to alert us when there is a thought that is upsetting our ability to remain undisturbed within our focus, within our awareness, within our equanimous mind. To acknowledge when the mind becomes dualistic. In other words, seeing a black or a white, seeing the drama. Now let go of whatever thought you may be having. And if there was any experience that you found yourself having resistance to applying, if there was any thought, any memory, any conversation that was being replayed, you're going to remind yourself of two things. There are no small upsets. They are all equally disturbing to my peace of mind. And this one's important. I cannot keep this form of upset and let the others go. For the purpose of this exercise, I will regard them all as the same. all of these upsets, whether they be great disappointments or small disappointments, and this is very hard to hear for people that have experienced a lot of trauma, they all are coming from the same emotion, from the same sensation, from the same perception of reality, and that is the perception of fear. That is the perception of darkness. That is the perception of things are not the way they're supposed to be, or they will not be the way that they're supposed to be. So we need to practice being able to see clearly when, yes, we are upset. Being able to see clearly that, yes, I can let this go. And being able to see clearly that it's because I do not understand it the way that I think I do. It requires humility. When you are ready, take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale from the mouth. Hari Om Tat Sat. When you're ready, open your eyes. So that, for me, has been very valuable. And the way that we can take this into our day and our days is when we find ourselves being even slightly triggered. We can remind ourselves that I'm upset because I see something that is not there. I'm seeing a fearful reality that is not there. Whether it be in a conversation with somebody, whether it be in an interaction with our environment. And I challenge you to go through today with the corners of your mouth turned into a hint of a smile, to see just how often you get triggered out of that peaceful state. And see if you can do this practice. You don't have to use the guidance, it's very easy. I'm just sitting still for 2 minutes. It doesn't have to be the full meditation. 2-minute practice, 2 more times throughout the day, where you are reminding yourself that all of those lingering upsets, all those lingering turbulences within your mind are there because you see something that isn't there, that there is no such thing as a small upset, and that in order to let one go, we need to be willing to let all of them go. So thank you all so very much for joining. If you'd like to join any of the yoga classes that I'm teaching, where I go much more into the knowledge of the chakras, go ahead and sign up through my Instagram. I take donations for that. I also take donations for these meditations in Course in Miracles, and I donate a percentage of those funds to helping feed people, provide meals for people that have not gotten a stimulus check, that are struggling basically to financially make it through this pandemic. So much love, appreciation, and adoration to all of you. And if the person who I spoke about from this morning is watching, much love to you as well. Thank you so much for all of your lessons. Hari Om.